Hello my friends, welcome to Lindy's Magpie Reads. I usually wait until I have finished 6 books before I make a video. I've only finished 2 since my last video, but I am going to be heading off to Edmonton tomorrow for 5 days, doing lots of visiting, and I am especially timed my visit so that I could hear Kate Beaton give the Cyril lecture at the University of Alberta, and that's going to be on Thursday evening. Really looking forward to that. If you're not familiar with Kate Beaton, she is a Canadian cartoonist who specializes in Canadian history, but she is most famous for her memoir in graphic format, Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands. Yes, I have a copy here. This is it. And last year it won the Canada Reads competition kind of thing. And right now, this week, the 2024 Canada Reads Showdown is happening. It's 5 books, and I think it's very much about personalities. So I don't really like to watch the Canada Reads, but I'm always curious to see how it ends up, because supposedly the winning book is the book that every Canadian should read. So if you want to know more about which 5 books are in the running, I will put a link down below. So one of the books that I finished is in audio format, and before I start talking about that specific audiobook, I want to thank you, all of you who responded to my question in my last video with a sample narration by Carrie Richards, and how you felt about that particular narration style. So many people agreed with me that it sounded kind of like AI, that I started to feel bad for Carrie Richards, I must say. But there's just something about the way that she emphasizes words in a sentence that just doesn't work for me, and not only me. I want to point you to Kim of Middle of the Book March, because she has been doing an ongoing series about audiobooks, and I think the very first video was about what makes a good narration, and it was something about overproduced audiobooks. So I will link that particular video down below, and watch for more, because that series is still ongoing. So the audiobook that I listened to is called Ada's Room, and it's by Sharon Dodua Otoo. And the audiobook has got 2 readers. I'll put their names down below in the show notes. It was an excellent listen. I really appreciate good narration, especially when you've got narrators who are from the same part of the world as the author. Sharon Dodua Otoo is Ghanaian British, and she has spent many years living in Germany. So this book was actually written in German and translated to English by Jon Cho-Polizzi. The story is about many women named Ada, or Ada, when Ada is reborn, because there's all these cycles of rebirth, and each time some sort of spirit being is trying to help Ada with something going on with the bracelet with gold beads. The first time we meet her is in the 15th century in West Africa. Portuguese slavers have come, so there's that. And then it's 18th century London when we meet Ada Lovelace, and then 1945, Ada is a prisoner in a concentration camp in Germany. Things are looking very grim. And then the most recent Ada is in Berlin in 2019. Now this spirit being that I mentioned has been following Ada through time and hoping that she's going to remember from previous lives and do things differently. And the spirit being takes the form of physical objects. Like one time it's a broom, one time a door knocker, another time a British passport. Very intriguing. The style of the writing is somewhat confusing, with lots of switches in point of view and time period, and I actually found that added to the central themes that had to do with racism and dislocation and power struggles and a sense of home. And especially once we get to the final character in Berlin, I really liked this character a lot, and I was really invested in her. And so I found this a very rewarding audiobook. I picked it up because it is on the Dublin Literary Prize long list. Lots of great books on that list. If you're interested in world literature, I will include a link down below if you haven't looked at it already. On to the next book, Orbital by Samantha Harvey. Now, the reason I picked up this book is because of an ongoing project that I've been doing this year. I watched so many booktubers end of the year best books, and I have been picking up books that other booktubers have loved. This was one on Anne Novella's My Real Top 10, and oh, it's a winner for me too. A lot of times Anne and I do have quite a bit of overlap, and it's great to find other readers like that, because you can be pretty sure that check out their channel and what they're reading, you're likely to find things that you like too. Orbital. It's kind of serendipitous that the audiobook that I was telling you about, Ada's Room, which is also titled Ada's Realm, I think in the UK, those rebirths are called orbits in the novel. And we're going orbital in here too. So this is science fiction, but it's very much could be happening today. We're following 6 astronauts who are in an international space station, and they make 16 rotations around the Earth in a space of about 24 hours. So there's that orbit happening there too. The story is very philosophical and meditative. This one is about language. These scientists are, they have a unique perspective on the Earth. And I really want to share some samples with you, so bear with me. I'm going to read a little bit. The Milky Way is a smoking trail of gunpowder shot through a satin sky. On board the craft, it's Tuesday morning, 4:15, the beginning of October. Out there, it's Argentina, it's the South Atlantic, it's Cape Town, it's Zimbabwe. Over its right shoulder, the planet whispers morning, a slender, molten breach of light. They slip through time zones in silence. And a little further. Think a new thought, they sometimes tell themselves. The thoughts you have in orbit are so grandiose and old. Think a new one, a completely fresh, unthought one. But there are no new thoughts. They're just old thoughts born into new moments. And in these moments is the thought, without that Earth, we are all finished. We couldn't survive a second without its grace. We are sailors on a ship on a deep, dark, unswimmable sea. And the issue of keeping track of a sense of time and a sense of what day it is, it's made really clear what a challenge that is for these astronauts who just keep circling and circling and circling and seeing day, night, day, night, day, night happen across the surface of the Earth. So there come discrepancies and gaps. They were warned in their training about the problem of dissonance. They were warned about what would happen with repeated exposure to this seamless Earth. You will see, they were told, its fullness, its absence of borders except those between land and sea. You'll see no countries, just a rolling, indivisible globe which knows no possibility of separation, let alone war. And you'll feel yourself pulled in two directions at once. Exhilaration, anxiety, rapture, depression, tenderness, anger, hope, despair. Because of course you know that war abounds and that borders are something that people will kill and die for. While up here there might be the small and distant rucking of land that tells of a mountain range, and there might be a vein that suggests a great river, but that's where it ends. There's no wall or barrier, no tribes, no war or corruption or particular cause for fear. Before long, for all of them, a desire takes hold. It's the desire, no, the need fueled by fervor to protect this huge yet tiny Earth, this thing of such miraculous and bizarre loveliness, this thing that is, given the poor choice of alternatives, so unmistakably home. An unbounded place, a suspended jewel so shockingly bright. Can humans not find peace with one another, with the Earth? It's not a fond wish, but a fretful demand. Can we not stop tyrannizing and destroying and ransacking and squandering this one thing on which our lives depend? Yet they hear the news, and they've lived their lives, and their hope does not make them naive. So what do? What action to take? And what use are words? They're humans with a godly view, and that's the blessing and also the curse. And they have to get along up there. Ah, I love this book so much, and I know that it is on the booktube prize long list, so there are booktube prize judges who are reading it. If I was one of the judges, I would definitely be pushing for this one. Oh, so good. And since I'm talking about orbits, I want to mention that I have finally picked up this online course again. It's a course through Meiwa, a natural dye supplier in Vancouver. So I've been doing it online, and it is called Natural Dyes, Alchemy, Chemistry, Craft. I'm about halfway through, and now that I'm back into it, I'm really loving it. And the thing about orbits, so atoms and their electrons orbiting, electrons, they play such an essential role in chemistry, and there's something so exciting to me about how molecules react with each other and form, and that's part of why I love creating things and experimenting with natural dyes. If any of you are interested in this course or anything else offered by Meiwa, I will include a link down below. Now, speaking of crafting, I just finished my new pair of gloves. I think I'll even include just a bit of video for those of you who want to stick around till the very last bit. I'll include a video of knitting one finger. It takes me about 2 hours to just do one finger on a pair of gloves. So I will condense that down to just a few minutes. And if you're wondering where I got the, I was going to say recipe, but no, the knitting pattern, it's from this hand knitting techniques book that was put out by Threads magazine. And I have had this since it first came out in 1991, but it is my first pair of gloves. This magazine has got all kinds of other hand knitting techniques in here as well. But I love these gloves featured on the cover. Aren't they fantastic? I'm actually a very slow knitter. And one of my sisters was telling me about a book that she's been reading called Slow Knitting, but it's not exactly that kind of slow knitting. The book is by Hannah Thiessen, and it's more about encouraging knitters of all skill levels to really engage with their process of how they do their craft, or to think about our knitting in a new way. Yeah, something like that. I haven't read it yet, but this is one that I plan to pick up. And just this morning, I was listening to the Long Thread podcast, and the interview was with Hannah Thiessen. So, yeah, I'll throw a link to that down below too, because I know that there are quite a few of you who watch my channel who are also knitters. So, hi to all of you, especially. That is all I got for you today. Whew, it seems so short. So, hang in there if you want more about that slow process of knitting a glove, and say hello to me in the comments down below. Let's talk about knitting as well as books. Sure, why not? As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.